All right, let's try this again. The YouTube app just crashed. Man, I wish they would get that fixed. I guess quick couple of comments if people are jumping in. I don't know if I need to kill this and start it over or not. If not, this is going to be quick. I don't have a lot of time, but last night I guess the other day I got an email from a gentleman kind of mentioning, all right, I see a few people jumping in, so I guess it's working. This is going to be quick. I don't have a lot of time, but I do want to touch on this for a couple of reasons. So got an email a couple of days ago from a gentleman kind of making the funny comment about starter kits for owner operators, that sort of thing. And I thought that was kind of humorous for a title. I did a very long, really a pretty poor video in my opinion last night. It could have been a lot more succinct, a lot more to the point. I just didn't think there was going to be a lot of people interested in sort of this topic. Last night's topic was how to prepare yourself to make a phone call to a broker. I got 16 emails overnight on a variety of different topics. And so clearly this sort of struck a chord with some of you guys. So I thought I would kind of continue down this path. Some of the emails addressed kind of what company to look for. And so I thought I would sort of create a quick list of 5 things not to do as a new lease operator or an owner operator, if that makes sense. Having said that, if there are some topics that you guys are kind of in this vein, I guess I just sort of assumed that, look, my mistake, I just sort of assumed that a lot of this information was people just probably knew, right? And again, we had to learn it the hard way. And so, I understand there's a lot of people coming into the space. Turnover in our industry is high. So there's a lot of new people coming in, and I probably should have, I guess, tailored some additional videos or more videos to maybe some of those new guys or those that have been in the industry for a while, but are new to the lease op or the owner op space. All right, so, and just so everybody knows, most of my live feeds, I'm going to sort of dive right into the content, and then I'll address the questions after. I'm going to be short and sweet relative to the questions on this one, just because I got a short, a really compressed day. Having said that, the next couple of days, probably not going to see much. Kristen's coming in tonight. We've got to deal with the Gracie's thing over the next couple of days into the weekend. So that's your opportunity. Send an email if there's other things that you guys want to address specifically, thetruckingexec@gmail.com, and I can either address those via email or on a live feed. All right, 5 don'ts, right? Sort of in order of those individuals looking to make that transition to becoming a lease operator or an owner operator, maybe working with companies. I think probably the most important thing is, number 1 is don't believe the recruiter. And you have to understand those individuals are there to sell you on that product and that service and partnering with them. And I'm not saying that you can't believe what they say. I'm just saying I would recommend that you not believe everything they say until you have vetted it out. I said a lot about my channel and any other channels, any of the information that you guys hear, make sure that you are vetting that information out, and especially when you're going to a new company. I'm going to dig into a little bit more on that in one of the other items, but make sure that you're contacting other drivers, speak to some of the drivers. I make that offer for potential new drivers joining us as company drivers to talk to some of our existing drivers, right? I try to tell people what the good is about our company and what the bad is. And I share that not only from my perspective, but from some things that I've heard from drivers. But I have no problem having a couple of our drivers talk to potential new employees, and I would recommend that you do the same. So number 1, don't trust the recruiter. Number 2, I think this sort of ties into number 1, which is don't rush into choosing a company. And look, we're all human. We all tend to want sort of that instant gratification. We want things quickly. When we make a decision to purchase something, we want it now, which is why Amazon has Prime, which is why FedEx exists. We all want it right now. When you're understand that you are making a long-term commitment, multi-year typically, oftentimes it's 5 years. you want to make sure that you're gonna be marrying the right partner, right? In this case, it's pretty rare nowadays. Well, even when people do spend a fair amount of time in the dating relationship, I mean, marriages don't often last 5 years. When you're dealing with all the costs, significant costs of getting into this business, trucking, the truck, the trailer, insurance, fuel cards, the operating cash, the factoring, the headaches of being away from family, dealing with brokers, dealing with shippers, receivers, grumpy owners, right? Grumpy dispatch, all that sort of stuff. You want to make sure that you're partnering with the right company. Do the research. Make sure that you've got the right company. Make sure that you're going to get the right freight, that they have the right type of freight. Understand where you live, what type of freight that there is around where you're at. If you're partnering with a company that has a specific type of freight, make sure that that freight suits well with what you want, right? If you hate doing reefer, and that's all they have, again, just take some time, perform your due diligence, and make sure that you're going to partner with the right company. This is not the time to rush. I think the company culture is a really big thing. Even though many drivers are sort of out on their own doing their own thing, and that's one of the things that you guys love about that job, I think you have to understand that you still are interacting with people every day inside the company, and oftentimes it's not just dispatch. So make sure that you have a good relationship, or the culture is there. Make sure other drivers have some positive things about dispatch. We all know that dispatch is under a lot of pressure. A lot of times they're going to be frustrated. But again, spend the time, have the conversations, speak to other individuals, make sure that you're vetting out the right company. Because the worst thing you want to do is rush that decision, spend a year or a year and a half paying on a truck that you realize this is a miserable place to be. And now you've got to leave that company, which oftentimes means turning in that truck, and you've just wasted a year and a half worth of payments and effort. Now you got to go start all over. So make sure you perform the due diligence and pick the right company. Number 3. There were at least four emails that I can recall last night that addressed this at least once within their emails. It's shocking to me. Do not partner, do not join a company unless you are certain that they're going to show you the rate confirmations. There's a lot of examples that come to mind, right, that I could use. But I won't even waste the time. If you're partnering with a company and you are running as a lease operator or an owner operator, everything you do is predicated off of that percentage, off of that money that's coming in off of that rate confirmation. If the company is not willing to show you the rate confirmation, sort of one end of the spectrum is because maybe they're just really, really lazy and they don't want you to be copied on an email, which takes about 2 seconds, right? The other end of that spectrum is they're doing it for some reason to prevent you from knowing how much that is, right? Or they're lying to you, or any number of other reasons along that spectrum, none of which are acceptable. I don't know how else to say that any more directly, any more bluntly. If they're not willing to show you what the rate confirmation is, you should be highly, highly concerned. It is up to you to make sure that that language is inherent within the contract, right? Again, gets back to previous point, don't rush. Make sure that you're reading the contract. Make sure that you know that you are going to see all of the rate cons. And quite frankly, I've had these conversations in the past, and I'm always a little surprised by it. But to see last night, 4 or 5 out of 16 emails specifically address that topic. This is clearly a more prevalent issue than I think maybe I was aware. So just don't do that, right? Don't. And if you're at a company where you have a percentage agreement, I would make sure that I ask to see the rate cons. how else are you to ensure that you're getting paid correctly? And if they're not paying you correctly, that opens the door for a whole host of problems for them, right? I'm going to tell you guys this. We have company. We don't have a single owner-operator, lease operator yet. There are plenty of times that whenever I am dispatching, I will either share a rate or share the rate confirmation with the driver, because our drivers are a part of our success. And I don't really care if they know. I mean, we discuss cost per mile for the guys that are really intrigued about that, or their profitability, and that, I don't mind sharing that, because I very much view what we do here as a team event. And I want them to know when we got a crappy run. If they can run that truck 63 or 62 and save a little bit of money because we got a crappy run, we ended up in a bad spot, I want them to be a part of that. That driver can help achieve success even when we made a mistake and we were on a bad run. The same is true when we're on some like ridiculously great paying run. I want the drivers to know that they're having a great impact for what they're doing for a great run, something we're getting paid well to do. And so I don't mind sharing some information with our drivers. Now, do all of our drivers see all of our rate cons? No, they don't, right? As a general rule of thumb, we don't share that. But again, we're a company, and I don't mind sharing that with some of our guys. As a lease op or an owner op, I can't think of anything else I can't think of just hardly anything else that's more critical. That's your livelihood. That's what you're being paid on. And I absolutely want to know, what are we being paid? What is my percentage of what we're being paid? So I'm spending a little bit more time on that. I mean, that's a really short, honestly, I don't care what your situation is. If you're getting paid on a percentage as a lease op, you need to make damn sure that you're seeing the rate confirmations. I want to know, and just so you know, I can get a rate confirmation, and in 2 minutes on my Mac, I can change that number. And if I'm getting paid $3,000, I can change that number to make it look like I'm getting paid $2,500. Okay? I want to see what that rate confirmation looks like. Go ahead and copy me directly on the email from the broker or the shipper. I'm good with that. Just go ahead and send it right to me directly. That's how I want to see it. And then verify that with the broker. If you're a lease op and you have that type of a deal with your company and you're not seeing what you're being paid, or what the total number is, you want to see that, right? All right, number 4, do not join if you can only haul their freight. Okay, now I want to put a little bit of an asterisk here. There are some big companies like Prime and others that have a boatload of freight. I've talked to plenty of guys that work for some of the larger companies. I've heard the spin that those companies give to the drivers, right? Some of those are like, one example is this. Hey, look, we're going to guarantee you that the lowest rate that you're going to have to get is going to be like whatever, $1.60 or $1.30, okay? And so I hear some drivers repeating what those companies are spinning to them. And while I guess there's some sense of security in that, about the only place that you're going to see those kind of rates is Florida, right? I can jump on the load board right now. I can show you rates out of Florida in August, which is one of the worst 2 months of the year, the other being February, is $1.20, $1.30 a mile. So is there really security there? I don't know that I see that. I think it's just a load of crap, if you want to know the truth. So, but on the other side of that, right, they're not getting the complete upside of the opportunity to run the spot market or find their own customers or find a direct customer. So I would be really leery of the companies that I can't select my own freight, I can't find my own shipper, or I can't book something on the load board, on the spot market. Because if you take one of their loads and you end up in a crappy spot, and maybe the load that they have offering you coming back is $1.60, but you can jump on the load board and find something for $2 or $2.60, don't you want to do that? So I would really hesitate to partner with a company that says you can only haul my freight unless they're guaranteeing you a pretty solid rate, right? So maybe there's some security in that, but I don't see the security in having a really low number as a protection, as a floor, but yet you can't also achieve the higher rates when the market exhibits those. So I would just be really cautious with those companies that you can't haul outside freight. Last, number 5, don't, and this is a big one, and I think I've had a lot of conversations over the past couple of months, 6-8 months or so with drivers with this. Don't assume that the current highs represent the new low. Does that make sense? Don't assume that the current rates that we are seeing now, which are high, don't assume that that's the new low. Don't go out and start buying new cars. Don't start throwing all kinds of chrome and stuff on your truck. Don't waste money because, guys, I'm telling you, this is a cyclical market and things will change. And when things change, the only way that you're going to be positioned to sustain when things take a significant dip is by cash. There is a reason that the saying cash is king exists, because cash is king. And if you want to take opportunities, look, we hear this other saying, oh gosh, the rich just get richer. You know, one of the things that the rich do to get richer, they take advantage of when markets swing. If you don't believe me, just go spend a few minutes and research some of the purchases that Warren Buffett has made and when he made those purchases. I mean, we took an opportunity when a company went out of business. So if you want to expand, your trucks or your fleet or your business, right? Run hard, stash cash, and wait for the opportunity when things change. Be in a strong cash position so that you can take advantage of others that ran their business really poorly, who didn't know what their cost per mile was, who had no clue what profit was in a run when they were booking it. We're guessing on lanes and rates, right? That we're hoping that this is going to be the new standard, that lived outside of their lifestyle, right? When your lifestyle can't support it, when things take a noticeable turn, that's a bad thing. Debt, typically not a good thing for a business, right? Try to avoid it. So, just to kind of recap, right? I mean, don't really believe all that the recruiter has to say. Don't rush when you're trying to select that partner. Spend time speaking with employees, spend time reading contracts, talking to a multitude of different customers. Find that customer that has the right culture, the right fit, the right runs, the right lanes that's going to benefit you. Don't sign on with a company that is not going to show you the rate confirmation, right? And if you're in that situation, do everything that you can do to start seeing that rate confirmation as it comes directly from the broker, right? Again, don't, I guess I'm not going to say don't, but use caution when it comes to joining a company that you can only haul their freight. I've said that since day one on my first channel. I can't tell you the number of times I talk with individuals, they go and they do that, and then 6, 8, less than 12 months later, I'm having another conversation with them about, man, I shouldn't have done that. That's why I preach that. I just think it's a big deal. And lastly, don't overspend. Don't assume that this is the new low, right? Because these rates will take a dip. You've seen it just in the past couple of weeks, right? If you have been immune to that, good for you. But there's a pretty sizable dip in the past couple of weeks into July, and that affected a lot of guys. And I know I've gotten a lot of emails from guys going, what's going on? What's up with the rates? What's happening, right? Sky's falling. If you were in a strong cash position and you understood the market, you understood the lanes, rates, you understood this business, you would know that this is part of the business. This happens every year. You'd be prepared for it, right? So that's kind of a quick video, right? Less than 20 minutes. I'll jump through and try to address a couple of quick questions. And then we'll get out of here. Let's see. The email, what's that email? Would have been number 17. The email's down in the description box. I think it's thetruckingexec@gmail.com. Jim's on a lunch break. Back to the classroom. All right, good luck, man. Take care. SoCal would say you're dropping gems. Hey, SoCal's in here. Next Gen says, I'm here. We can start now. Oh, you guys. Let's see. People need to understand when you lease your partner to that company. It's so true, right? So true. It is. That's a good point. That's another good way to look at it, SoCal. The new current rates are like overtime, right? And typically companies don't want to be paying overtime all the time. So just prepare yourself for when that correction comes. Greg Edmond says, don't let Charlie talk to new drivers. He'll scare them. That's funny. Man, that's another great saying, only the lonely. You cannot borrow your way out of debt. Look, there are plenty of times when a company has to assume some debt. I'm just saying you want that to be a focus of mitigating that debt as quickly as possible, and think through that. I'll just share one other thing. I had a driver. I don't know. It's been a while ago. It was last year about this time, and they were running hard. They were doing really well. And they said, hey, you're going to be proud of me. I made an extra payment or two, I can't recall, on my truck. And I said, man, look, what do you mean you made an extra? Like you paid your company an extra payment or two, or you just stuck that in the bank? And they said, no, I paid the company. I went ahead and got 2 payments off the books. And that's an option. It is an option. I don't think that's the option that I would choose. What I would choose is I would put that cash in an account for me, because sometime over the next couple of years, this individual still had several years left on their lease. Some bad thing might happen to you or your family or your truck or your business that you're going to need that cash, right? And if you have to go and borrow money, now you're going to have to pay interest on that. And oftentimes for a lot of owner operators, that comes at a really high interest rate. When you could have easily just tapped into your own account with your business, paid no interest on it. Oh, by the way, while that money is in your account, it's growing interest. So if all things go well for your business and you want to make payments, great, make a payment to yourself, right? To your own business. When you have enough payments, if you want to buy out that contract or that truck towards the end of your term, again, assuming your contract allows that with no penalty, then fine, go in and say, hey, look, I've saved up 6 months worth of payments. I want to pay this truck off now and get out of my lease 6 months early. To me, that's a far better way to manage that cash. And I think logically, a lot of individuals think, man, this is a good way to go. I'm going to make these payments. But if you think through the bad things that could happen over the next couple of years with wife, kids, truck, business, rates, you slip and fall off the truck and hurt a knee or an ankle. I mean, just, you don't want to have to go and borrow money. So that's sort of my 2 cents on that. Empty Fuel Corp, you're welcome. Mr. Corona says, Sonar says when SoCal does good, the rest of the country does good. Yeah, I like Sonar. I think there's some good information. Inman says, put these videos in a box set. Great for the ones thinking of getting into the ownership. I'm going to try to do a few more of these. Again, in the next couple of days, guys, we're going to be dealing with Gracie and putting her down. So probably not going to be doing any more, but that's your opportunity to send an email in. And then I'll try to start up realistically probably next week, and I'll try to put these in a playlist so that they're saved. And if you kind of want to go through this, and I'm going to title everything sort of the same way, right? The owner operator starter kit, and we'll just go through a series and a playlist. So we'll try to do that. Outlaw, take care. You guys, I had 25 minutes and I've got 1 minute to spare. You guys be safe. Take care. I'm out.